Okay, so if we ever get a crossover episode where characters from past Yu-Gi-Oh shows meet our heroes in Yu-Gi-Oh Go Rush, we really need to have Blair Flanagan from GX meet Mitsuki from Go Rush. Both characters are maidens in love, chasing after their respective crushes. Hello everyone and welcome to Dueling with Downton, and today we're talking about episode 41 of the Yu-Gi-Oh Go Rush anime series. An episode that shows love, shows rivalry, and allows us a bit more closure on Nyandarstar's story. So we visit her home planet and free everyone from their icy prison, but unfortunately that wasn't the only thing chaining them down, as once the idea of games appeared in topic, they all ran away, traumatized by their experience/encounter with the Luke. It's interesting that the Luke brought games to different planets to help kind of introduce the idea of winners and losers, and then if someone lost, he would then show them the manga manuscript, and then they'll be cased in ice. But at the same time, it does make sense because he just wanted to cross the galaxy/universe and make friends. And one way of making friends is by connecting through playing games. We also learned that Nyandarstar is the only one of her race that can go cat mode. This is a new power that was granted to her after her desperate attempts of trying to run away from her planet. Which leads me to think that this unique thing is basically based around the race leaving their home planet. So if someone leaves their planet, then they gain this curse/ability. This is all speculation on my part though, however, because we don't know if anyone else of that race has previously left the planet and then returned. We only know Nyandarstar doing such a thing. However, with that being said, if she was left as a child, how would she have been able to leave the planet without a ship? Plus, even if she did manage to get a ship and go into space, how would she survive that travel? So yes, we saw her kind of turn into a cat and then shoot across the universe in order to get to Earth. So again, I wonder if there's any more sort of lore that we're going to get with this cat mode. However, I don't see it being a returning topic anytime soon. Now of course, this episode was a nice little close off for Nyandarstar's side story. And it really did end that story with a really heartfelt, warming reunion, allowing us to learn about the race a little bit more, while also meeting Nyandarstar's parents, which I thought was a really cool touch. The race itself though does seem rather sheltered, and it does make them seem a little bit dumb/too carefree. Obviously before the Luke arrived they didn't know the concept of winning and losing. Okay, whatever, everyone is equal. But at the same time, how can you realistically look at this duel and say that, oh, Rush duels are friendly and fun? Because yes, this duel was fun. It had a lot of great back and forth and some good combos involved. But the way the characters themselves were acting really weren't fun, really weren't welcoming. And you wouldn't typically associate those two words with their actions and their fiery kind of exchange that they had. Plus, we also have to say about Nyandarstar's parents, because when they ran into their house, they forgot to take Nyandarstar with them. Maybe fear overtook them and they just ran away without their child. Or there's a possibility that they just see her older now and don't think they need their protection anymore. Either way, they're not great parents for that action. Now then, Mitsuki's character. Firstly, I already really liked this character from the get-go. But now after this episode, I love her even more. And I'll be rooting for her in her quest for love when it comes to Yugioh. I like how she's still carrying that pot of dumpling soup around, as she promised him that she'll make sure she keeps it warm, but then downs it once her mood kind of snaps and she just doesn't care about that promise anymore. I thought using this paired with the flashback was a really good and creative visual to showcase her development/change in personality. Because remember, she was keeping it warm because of a promise she made to Yugioh. And to her, her promises are important because it showcases her loyalty and her respect towards Yugioh. Now, her drinking the soup doesn't mean that she doesn't respect Yugioh anymore, or that she hates him. More so that she's saying that she's been hurt, and hurt to the point where the important promises that she holds so dear to keep, it's just kind of being overpowered by the pain that she's feeling of being left behind. Now, the animation for this part looked amazing, and especially when you pair it with the ending of this duel. Seeing that dark aura helped to show off a more menacing and less friendlier vibe to her character, while also adding on the flames just helped to show how her heart was kind of inflamed with rage and also with passion. Those countdown shots at the end just looked terrifying, but also it was just done in such a good way that it makes you believe that that little shite at the end would fear Misoto's attacks at the end. And speaking of Dinio, I think that's her name, I did not like this character at all. However, I really liked how they used the character. Hear me out. The character itself is very prankish, immature, and reminded me of a human Rabopi from Yu-Gi-Oh! Reigns. But way, way worse. I love this because it makes me dislike the character, which in turn makes me root for Mitsuko a lot more. The things that Dinio was saying, like how her and Yugioh went for a drive together, was just very antagonistic behaviour to kind of get under the skin of Misoto's. Teasing her, knowing that Misoto felt passionate and affection towards Yugioh. And yes, Dinio might have her own feelings towards Yugioh, but Yugioh, he's just not falling in love with any of these chicks. Like, at all yet. The only person that he loves is Lady Power and maybe Meek-chan Udius. Moving along though, this duel was rather interesting. I love the new cards that Mitsuko was using, and they are much, much better than her first deck that we saw her use on screen against Udius. The way it kind of shows off though is that this deck she used in this episode feels like her proper deck, and the deck she used in the Udius duel was more of like a side deck that she kind of put together for a mission of testing Udius. I love the cards that she uses because they all have puns in their names, and they all stay in line with the theme of 3 that surrounds Mitsuko's character. As for Dinio's deck, this wasn't appealing to me visually, as the monsters don't look that great, but I like how they played in utilising the different attributes that we have within Yu-Gi-Oh! It's similar to Seven Sword Magician, but instead of gaining attack power based on the number of attributes in your graveyard, instead, Dinio's deck works in triggering special effects while also dealing damage to your opponent. So I like that. It's creative, it's something a little bit different, but at the same time it gives uniqueness to that character. As a side note, Youmu's comment about Dinio being a schemer is very much the kettle calling the pot black. Youmu schemes a lot, and she basically manipulates people a lot. So it's kind of like looking into a mirror, except Youmu isn't evil and, you know, part of the Bulgarians. Also, the bakery uniforms look super wholesome that we saw in this episode. And did they seriously need all of those curry breads that they made? Because boy, they made a lot. How long did they bake for last night? So overall, I really like this episode as it sets up our next destination, which is the Valgir cluster. And that is where Yugioh has headed and lies. So yeah, great animation, a really fun duel, and an interesting lore about a race given to us within the episode. Let me know your thoughts on this episode. I hope you've enjoyed this review. If you have, hit that like button, comment your thoughts, and I'll see you next time. Have a great day. Alligator, matane, goodbye.